think it's over now. You're wrong.
All aboard the night train.
It's over, Prime.
This is the siege.
I'm a man of my word.
Hey. Yeah. Dead or alive, consider this home. No killing the vibe in the night watch zone. Xenomorphs hype when the lights come on. Hit like and subscribe and the show might blow. Go viral, no COVID. It's a spiral emotions. Hand on the Bible. Only go sign on the dopest your vitals. Better tune in, yeah, you know it's vital. From Schwarzenegger to Kane Hodder. Corey G down to Harry Potter. Shit, Sigourney Weaver love the night watch zone. Come with me to the night watch zone.
Well, there are two things a man should never run from, even if they cost him his life.
Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are on Tuesday nights. You know what Tuesday nights means? That means we're heading into Battle World with a really, really cool episode for you guys that are here. Coriander's with me, of course, and Eric as well. Kill won't be with us tonight, so we will definitely try to uphold the honor for him tonight. Real quick, just to say hello to all of you guys in the live chat, a blanket hello, and thank you guys for joining us tonight. We really do appreciate you guys hanging out with us for this particular series, which I'm very proud of it. It's been a really fun series to do, and I think it's something that is interesting, that also allows a lot of interactive, discussion and fun and banter and agreements and disagreements. So thank you guys for being here. Seriously. And we got Russell hanging out with us tonight. What's up, Russell?
Hello.
We got Val. What's going on, Val?
Nice.
Good to see you. We've got the Queens in the house. What's going on, Sarah? Good to see you.
There she is.
Yes. Right? That's gonna be the new thing. Sarah is getting, all these little phrases and stuff. It's pretty cool. Brandon's in the chat. What's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Jen is in the chat. All right. What's up, Jen? I know Jen. I was wondering how Jen felt about these two movies, because I know she's a fan. So that's pretty cool. I know she's a really big fan of New Nightmare, especially. That's so funny. I just said it and she said it in the chat. That's funny. Oh, you're all right, Jen. Good for you. Good for you. Maga's in the chat. What's going on? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well tonight. Thank you for being here. All right. And especially all of you channel members, thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. And also Rachel's in the chat saying hello all. Good to see you, Rachel. Hope you're doing well. Awesome. Wayne's in the chat. Hey, Wayne. Good to see you. Paula. Hey, Paula. How you doing? Good to see you. All right. And I think I am almost caught up here. Russell, you didn't see that coming, did you? No, we didn't. Polar's in the chat. What's up, Polar?
Hey.
Hope you're doing well. Hope you're feeling good. Great to have you here tonight. And I think we also have Barb. Barb's in the chat. Good to see you, Barb.
Hey, Barb.
Saying this should be a good one. I think so. I really, really do. Hey, Julie. Julie's in the house. What's going on? We might have some hoe takes tonight. We'll see. We'll see. For you guys that were not here for that Thursday morning show, you'll catch on as time goes on. You'll catch on. Samuel's in the chat. What's up, Samuel? Good to see you as well.
Hey.
All right. And Denisha, hey. All right.
Hey,
Good to
Denisha.
see you. All right, guys. So let's start talking about who we have here officially. And thank you, Val, for reminding people. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. It would help to support us. And hello to Mr. Marty McFly himself.
Ooh.
Nice.
The legend. Awesome to see you. Troy as well.
Hey, Troy.
And also, real quick before we begin, Jen has a channel member anniversary tonight. And this is really cool because I know she's a huge fan of New Nightmare. So that's really cool that the channel member anniversary is tonight. Member for 15 months, guys.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, we really appreciate that, you guys.
Yeah.
That our channel members, you will never know how much your support really means to us, because it helps us to do what we are able to do and helps us to do more of it. So thank you so much. And she said 15 months on a versus episode I will love. All right. Very, very cool. Awesome stuff. And hey, Brian, good to see you. All right. So let's get official here, guys. And for everyone else jumping in, hey to you guys as well. Welcome, welcome. But Eric, we got to get official. We got to get official with these combatants tonight. So let's start with you. Who do we have in corner number 1?
Okay, well, it's a really cool thing when you create a character on film that eventually becomes iconic, right? However, the problem is when too many hands get in the pot and, there's many, many, many sequels, that iconic character kind of gets watered down and is turned into like a parody of itself. Well, after a decade of seeing that property do this, it takes the original creator to step in and bring back some scares to this character. This MTV anti-hero, while he also tries to blend some real life, things with this horror fiction. Tonight, we have, to an extent, Freddy Krueger and Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
All right. Awesome. And Coriander, who do we have in our second corner?
Okay. So how do you follow up a film that helps save the horror genre? Well, Wes Craven has done so many amazing things in his career that has made it look easy. Sidney has to face a killer who is 2 steps ahead of everyone, including Randy, Gail, and Dewey. In the original 3, oh goodness. Anyway, I'm messing up.
Okay.
That's all right.
Anyway, okay, so with it's Scream 2. Sorry.
All right. Okay. So we have
Coriander with the save. It's all good.
We have a really cool matchup because we got Wes Craven versus Wes Craven, and you guys know that we absolutely love it when we can have these creators go against each other, because a lot of times it's just an interesting angle, you know what I'm saying, to see where they were at one point in their career versus another point in their career. So I don't know what's going to happen tonight. All I know is that these are 2 really good movies, 2 really good sequels in 2 of the biggest horror franchises ever. Okay. In my opinion, when I talk about the Mount Rushmore, these 2 franchises are a part of that. So I don't know what's going to happen. Now, of course, Kill isn't here for the commentary, but here's the thing. And Eric, we've talked about this quite a bit, but tonight could have title implications, guys.
Absolutely.
We told you guys before, 3 victories gets you the title shot. And Eric, who might get the title shot tonight if they get a 3rd victory?
Well, if we get a 3rd victory, we could have a championship match of Michael Myers defending his title against Mr. Freddy Krueger.
That's right. And you just said his name. Who's the champ, Eric? Who's the champ?
Michael Myers.
Stay it with pride, bro.
Mike.
I love it.
Credit where credit's due.
He went through the gauntlet, and he had to go through Freddy to get the title. So to get this happening, I don't know. It's quite possible.
He beat Freddy, and he also beat Jason twice. So he's good.
He did, bro. So anyways, listen, I hear the combatants coming to the arena. This is going to be awesome. So for you guys in the chat, for you guys watching the replay, sit back, relax as we head right smack dab into Battle World.
Fuck you! Hey Dylan, ever play in the cat?
2 minutes.
What kind of choice?
Whether or not you're willing to play Nancy one last time.
There it is. There it. Hey,
Nice.
can I just say something? Can we just a quick moment? And I know I'm serious though. Just a quick moment to give credit to Wes. Like just seriously, rest in peace to Wes Craven. For a lot of us, and I know for us here on the panel, growing up, seeing his career happen like in live time, it was such a wonderful thing, and it really helped to shape me as well as so many people as a horror fan. But seriously, rest in peace to Wes. One of the best to ever do it in any genre. And I'm not just talking about horror. So definitely rest in peace to Wes. Okay,
Absolutely.
guys. That's right, man. So you guys know we're going to do this thing. We're going to go category by category and give the point to the film that we think deserves the point. You guys in the chat, let us know what you think as well as we go category by category. We will try to get to as many comments as we can. We can't get to them all, but if you do a super chat, not only will we make sure that we get to your comment and acknowledge it and answer it if need be, but also that super chat, the dollar amount will be points to that movie of your choice. So if you send in a $5 super chat, that'll be 5 points to the movie of your choice. Okay, so let's get this thing going. So I'm going to go first tonight. We're going to change this thing up tonight. So first category is the poster. So you guys know we love posters. It's something that is always kind of like that visual for a movie. So we have the poster for Scream 2, and we also have the poster for Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Now, let me just say, I think both of these posters are good for different reasons, though. Okay. And we've talked about this, especially in some of our episodes with older films. And not that New Nightmare is super old versus Scream 2, but it is older by 3 years. But here's the thing. Scream 2 and Scream was very famous for this, you know, doing the floating heads and kind of having that be the big part of what the poster is all about. It looks really cool. It's very crisp. It's clean. I like the characters. In the back, you have the two faces, which is really, really interesting, different from the first film. And of course, with New Nightmare, all you see is Freddy's eyes, and it's coming out of the dark. It's a really, really well done poster. And, you know, you just have Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Now, for me, I'm going to tell you what, things that spark my curiosity more often than not is where I go with. So for my point, I'm going to go with New Nightmare on this because I just think that the poster, it just captures me. It even looks even more freaky on this screen because we've got the black around the poster. So it looks like the only thing I'm looking at is Freddy's friggin' eyes. Okay. And it's creepy as hell. And it brought back another thing too, is this poster evoked a new path for the franchise, taking it back to the dark side, if you know what I'm saying. So anyways, my point goes to New Nightmare. Coriander, how about you?
Yeah, I don't really care for the whole floating head thing, but I'm digging this one right here. You know,
Okay.
especially with the background that you have,
Mhm.
it like makes it, you know, definitely pop out.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I like it.
Awesome. Eric, how about you?
Even though Kill's not here, I will use one of his terms. This is Easy Street. You know, nothing against Scream 2. I'm just not a fan of the floating heads, kind of like Coriander says. It looks nice. And like the way it has Scream with the 2 in the middle. That looks good. But New Nightmare looks scary. You know what I mean? Compared, you got Scream 2, which is nice, but kind of generic. This is very simple, but it's scary. You just have the eyes. And what I like is you can already tell this is a different type of Freddy. You can tell just by the way the brow looks, the eyes. You know, this isn't Bugs Bunny. You know what I mean? That we've seen last time. So it just looks menacing, scary. Less is more. And then the way the font at the bottom, just the red popping off the black.
Yeah,
No comparison.
absolutely. All right. Very, very cool. Now, let me just catch up to the chat a little bit here and see what we're thinking with these guys. We got Dan in the chat, too. Good to see you, Dan.
Hey,
Hope
Dan.
you're doing well.
Hey.
And definitely, Rachel saying, "Rest in peace, Wes. Forever one of my favorite filmmakers. No doubt about it, man. No
Grew up on
doubt
him, yep.
about it. We grew up on him, man. What a time to grow up to, man. It's just
Oh yeah.
we just so many great artists, Julie also saying, "Rest in peace." Absolutely. Val for the poster is going with New Nightmare. Julie says, "Ooh, New Nightmare poster." Polar is going with New Nightmare. Paula is going with Scream 2. Wayne is going with Scream 2.
Wow.
Mr. McFly is going with Scream 2. Julie is coming out with a hot take saying, "I don't love the Scream 2 poster." All right. All right. That is a hot take.
All right.
Good for you. Brandon saying New Nightmare. Rachel saying, "Got to give this one to New Nightmare. Much more menacing. I got to admit, I find the Scream posters a tad generic."
Mm-hmm.
All right. And she says, "That whole floating head trend of the 90s got overdone." It really did.
Yeah,
It really did. You can understand how people saw Scream and its success. And of course, you always want to emulate success. But I agree, it became something that was just way overdone. And it seemed like nobody was trying to do something different, as far as posters are concerned. So that is definitely a great point. Troy in the house saying, "The poster nightmare. Don't care for the Scream posters. They started the floating head trend. I'm not a fan of it." All right. Melissa is going with the Scream poster. All right. Russell going with the Scream poster. And of course, Jen is going with New Nightmare. All right. Sarah as well, New Nightmare. Samuel as well, New Nightmare. All right. This is very, very cool. We have a channel member anniversary, another one.
Very nice.
Tonight is the night, guys. Very, very cool. Barb has a channel member anniversary. 5 months. Very cool.
Awesome.
All right. Barb saying, "Sent 15 to your Venmo night. You get all the money tonight." Hey, YouTube. Sorry, not sorry. Well, thanks, Barb. I appreciate that. That's so kind of you, really, to think that way. I appreciate that. It's very, very sweet of you. So let's do this real quick. We're going to start this thing early for Barb and for Jen tonight. Channel member anniversaries. Let's start something here. Let's play a cool little clip. Here we go.
Big wide happy ear to ear Kool-Aid smile, 'cause the biggest smile is a Kool-Aid smile.
There you go. Eric's shaking his head, man. You knew it had to happen, bro. You knew,
I
you
know.
knew it. Yeah. All right. Let's go to our next category.
Hold on one sec. Barb
Sure.
said she sent in 15 votes. Who we got to make sure who those votes go to?
Oh, good point. Yeah. Barb, let us know. Let us know. That is a very good point. Thank you for reminding me, man. I got so many things going on.
Why you keep me around, dude?
I've got 3 windows open. I'm watching the chat. Yeah, so Barb, let us know. Very, very cool. And Val says, "Oh yeah." That's great. Oh my gosh. Oh man. And Barb says, "That's 15 for Scream 2.
Wow.
Wow. All right. Wow. Okay. Well, we are up against it now for you guys that are New Nightmare fans. Thank you so much, Barb. We appreciate that, though. Seriously. Julie says, "Never forget the candy cane sniffer." We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. If we
gotta wait for kill for Mr. Candy Cane Sniffer.
Man, the look on his face, it was hilarious. Brandon also with a channel member anniversary. Brandon, thank you so much for all of your support. One of our members that was also at the highest level of support, which to me is beyond incredible. But thank you for always being around with us through thick and thin, Brandon. Seriously, saying, "Gonna eat you up." That scene freaked me out and made me laugh as a kid. Keep up the great content, Night. Thank you so much, man. We're trying. It's challenging times, but we're trying. But thank you for always being here and a part of the community and being so supportive, man. We really do appreciate it. Barb says, "Hey, I don't play. That's my franchise."
Hey, it's all
good.
good.
All right. Hey, that's what it's all about.
That's
okay.
right.
So let's get to our next category. Next category is going to be the tagline. the tagline. So I'm going to read the tagline. And of course, I'm going to be going first here. So the tagline for Wes Craven's New Nightmare is, "This time the terror doesn't stop at the screen." Okay. And then for Scream 2, the tagline is, "Someone has taken their love of sequels one step too far." Now, I think that for me, both of these neither tagline is bad, but I think one just kind of grabs me a bit more. And to me, that's what the tagline should do, is grab me, whether it be by curiosity, by excitement or what have you. And of course, it kind of goes hand in hand with the poster. Not always, right? But sometimes it does. And that's the beauty of, especially our old school posters. My point has to go to New Nightmare on this. And the reason why, now both of these films are sequels, so we kind of understand the world that we're going into, right? When I read Scream's tagline, or when I hear it saying someone has taken their love of sequels one step too far, I know what I'm getting into. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already have a sense of what I'm going to be getting into, which is not a bad thing. It just is what it is. The tagline for New Nightmare, I'm still wondering, okay, what? The terror, this time it doesn't stop at the screen. Well, what does that mean? What's going to happen? This guy already looks, like you said, Eric, a lot different than the Freddy we know. So again, it's building up this curiosity and this excitement. So I got to go with New Nightmare on this one for the tag. Coriander, how about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with New Nightmare also. Definitely. I don't really care for Screams.
Okay. All right. How about you, Eric?
Yeah, we'll go 3 for 3. New Nightmare. Both taglines to me are just okay. You know what I mean? I don't think they're anything special, but they suit the movies. But like you said,
agreed.
Night, I know what I'm getting with Scream 2. We're getting people harassed on the phone and being stalked. I don't know what we're getting with New Nightmare if this terror doesn't stop at the screen.
Right.
So that means, even before you go seeing the movie, and you don't know what meta is, okay, there's going to be a little bit more. Are we having some real world stuff, because you kind of putting 2 and 2 together. So you can kind of figure out that Freddy's somehow coming into the real world. And that gets me excited. We've seen it before in sequels, but if Wes is now doing it, how's he going to bring Freddy into the real world? Because that's the selling point for me, because we know it's Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Right.
So how are we going to get Freddy into the real world?
Good point. That's a very good point. I love that explanation. Well said. Yeah, it's just that, like, what the hell is going to happen? You know what I mean? So,
because he didn't really like in part 2 Freddy breaking the rules and coming into the real world. Well, now how's Wes going to do it?
Great point.
You know what I mean?
Wes was not a fan of that whatsoever, because he was famous for saying, once you saw Freddy come out at the pool party and you've got some teenagers, some of them that are just as big as him, now the fear is gone, which made sense. Although I still do love that scene. I can't lie. You're all my children now. It's iconic, but Wes knows. Julie is saying, that's hard, but probably Scream 2 tagline. Okay. Melissa's going with Scream 2. Russell's going with Scream 2.
Oh, wow.
Sarah's going with Scream 2. Brandon is holding the torch for New Nightmare. And Jen is going with Scream. Okay. Wow.
Scream Army is here.
Wow. All right. We got Jennifer in the chat saying poppin'. And I have to say, I'm loving this matchup. Yeah. This I think this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Rachel saying, Night, I agree. Both good taglines, but New Nightmare is more intriguing. Yeah, that's just kind of how I feel about it, Polar going with Scream 2. All right. Wayne's going with New Nightmare. Okay. All right. Val is going with New Nightmare. It grabs your interest into what the movie will be like, whereas Scream 2 tagline gives it away as to what to expect. That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point too, because it does give it away. Not that it makes the movie any less great, but yeah, good point. All right. Mario's in the chat too, going with Scream 2, and Jennifer is going with Scream 2. All right. And by the way, guys, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. And it helps to support us. We'd appreciate it. Okay, guys. Our next category. the opening of the film. And as we always say, the opening of the film is usually the first couple of minutes. It could be up to 15 minutes. So obviously, with the opening of New Nightmare, it's the dream sequence where the glove attacks and kills, and we wake up with Heather in the earthquake. And of course, the opening for Scream 2 is the death of Jada Pinkett Smith. Okay, for me, I don't want to say it's necessarily easy street, but it might be as close to easy street for me as we've gotten so far. But I've got to go with Scream 2 on this. I think that this opening, number one, is so well done, and number two, the task of going up against Scream's opening, which is still one of the greatest openings in horror, in my opinion. Wes was somehow able to make a sequel's opening really, really good. I don't want to say it's better, but it's really, really good. I mean, it's pretty damn close. Coriander, we talked about on an old episode of Slasher Movie Club, this old school movie called He Knows You're Alone. And I swear Wes probably got some cool inspiration from that film because it has a setup in a movie theater where someone is killed by knife and no one knows it, because you're in a movie theater, right? So how scary is that? So this one is as close to easy street as we've gotten so far. I've got to go with Scream 2 for the opening. How about you, Coriander?
Yeah, I agree. I have to go with Scream 2 also.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. How about you, Eric?
Both are really, really good. But I'd be lying, and there's no lying in here. I'm going with Scream 2. And as good as New Nightmare is, what I love about Scream 2, and I'll even say this, I prefer this over the original opening with Drew Barrymore.
Okay.
And here's why. Because, I love first off, I love the relationship between Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett. I love how at first she doesn't want to be seeing some stupid slasher movie. And then she's doing the whole, don't go in there type of thing. So you got those two. And then what I really love about this, you kind of have like an urban legend to it. Like you've heard these stories, a woman is killed in a movie theater, but no one knows who it is because everyone's dressed up like the same character, pretending to stab each other.
Right.
And that was just a really good reveal, a good death, and just seeing Jada go up on like in front of the movie screen,
right,
and her wail when she's screaming in pain to everybody, and then that look she just gives at everybody because they think it's all part of the show, and then when she falls down dead and boom, title card, it's so good. And again, like I said, that urban legend, type of feel, and I mean like an actual urban legend, not the movie itself.
Right.
That's what pushes it even over the original Scream opening for me. So going with Scream 2.
Okay. All right. Well said. Real quick in the chat, let's see what these guys are thinking. Looks as though Julie's going with Scream 2. Rachel, I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Jennifer going with Scream 2. Rachel saying, look, I love Scream 2, but I'm literally rewatching New Nightmare right now. And that dream sequence slays. It does. It's really, really good. It truly is. So Rachel is holding the torch for New Nightmare. All right. Brandon saying, I'm going to give this one to Scream 2 just for Jada Pinkett's memorable kill. All right. Marty is going with Scream 2. Maga's going with Scream. Mario is going with Scream. Val saying for the opening, have to give it to Scream 2. The whole theater scene was great. Melissa going with Scream. Paula is going with Scream, saying it's iconic. Omar Epps and Jada before Will Smith. Wow, the movie theater setting was fantastic. Well said, Paula. Very well said. I agree. Polar's going with Scream 2. And we got Sarah coming in with a $2 super chat. All right. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that, Sarah. Seriously. Saying Scream 2, second best opening in the franchise. So we have another 2 points for Scream. Scream is already way ahead of New Nightmare. You guys that are fans of New Nightmare is going to need some help. But Sarah, thank you so much for the super chat. We really appreciate it. And let's play one for you. Here we go.
Bring that fat ass over.
That's the stupidest fucking thing I ever heard.
Wow,
Eric,
man.
Eric buried his head. What? You're a part of this, bro. You can't hide. He's thinking Weibo on this show. Sarah,
The things you do for your friends, right?
that's right.
Aw.
Sarah, thank you so much. We appreciate you so much. So that's
Yeah,
another 2
thanks,
points.
Sarah.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Sarah. That's another 2 points going to Scream. Wow, this has started really quickly. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Jen saying, I prefer New Nightmare because we find out right away that the actors are playing themselves, which I find scary. Yeah, what a great twist that this movie has, you know. Barb going with Scream 2, the opening was legendary. People still talk about that one like it was just released. Yeah. Rachel says, woo, I'm not alone in choosing New Nightmare, right?
No.
New Nightmare is going to need some help. Seriously, this is wow. I didn't expect it to start like this early. Yeah. Julie said, yeah, there it is. Right. It's the super chat that keeps on giving. All right, guys, let's go to our next category. We got to talk about the music. Now, the music in these movies, they're very different, right? You know, they're doing different things. You know, you've got one film, as much as these films have a lot of parallels, there's a lot of differences, which is usual for these matchups that we have. But, you know, with New Nightmare, you've got multiple different things going on with the music. You know, you got J. Peter Robinson that did the music for New Nightmare, and of course Marco Beltrami that did the music for Scream 2. This is really tough for me though. But and I love the music in both of these films for different reasons. But I gotta give this one to New Nightmare. And the reason is because I think it had a lot of variety, because you had, you know, really mysterious music in there, tense music. You also had this very gothic, especially in the third act. It was really gothic and big operatic type of feel to the music, which takes nothing away from Scream. But wow, man, it was just a lot of variety in New Nightmare. And I remember seeing this when I was younger, and it really, it was like another character, you know. And I think some of the best music in films, that's what it does. It becomes an actual character. So I'm going to go with New Nightmare on this. How about you, Coriander?
You know, it's some movies I remember the music and some I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and for some reason, both of these movies, you know, like I remember little bits and pieces, but after hearing what you just said, Night, I'll go with New Nightmare 2.
Well, they'll go by what I say, you know. I'm not
Well,
saying I'm
no,
right.
because, you know, it just sounds good. So,
Yeah. All
there you
right.
go.
Okay. How about you, Eric?
Both are really good, but here's the thing. Scream 2's music is really good. Wes Craven's New Nightmare music is great. And you said it best, Night, you know, with New Nightmare is operatic. You know what I mean? One of the best, I mean, it's great in so many scenes, like the scene where Dylan's running across the freeway. You know, it helps the intensity. But even during like the ending credits, you know, when Heather's reading the script again to Dylan, you know, you have that operatic music, and then boom, it just really gets loud when they do that title card for that last time. Scream 2 is good with the intensity and the fear, but then just random stuff like Dewey's theme that we all know he stole, Wes Craven pulled from Broken Arrow. You know, they don't hide that fact. It's fine. It's cute.
He said it's fine.
It's cute, but Wes Craven's New Nightmare, there's no comparison. It's so good. I actually bought this soundtrack because I just love the music in it.
Wow. Okay. That is cool. Okay. All right. Let's see. Russell is going with Scream 2. Rachel saying, okay, the score and music I will give to Scream 2. I adore all the Scream scores, and the music used is from my decade. That's true too. Very true. Marty saying the song right after he kills Cece in Scream 2 is perfect. It is a good song. It's really, really good. Jen saying, I usually don't pay attention to music, but Scream had character theme music, so I have to go with Scream. Wow. All right. Jen's surprising me tonight.
Okay, there's no line.
It is no line. There's never been any line. Barb saying there's something nostalgic for me in the Scream franchise music. Music can make or break a film. Very true. And they've aced it throughout the films. New Nightmare was forgettable.
Ooh.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Brandon saying Marco Beltrami's score is iconic for Scream, but I love the big operatic score for New Nightmare, especially or when Nancy enters Freddy's domain. All right. Paula is going with Scream 2. Maga is saying Night won me over too. Right. Okay.
Right?
Right on. Jennifer saying, "Oh, New Nightmare, I think might be better. Scream 2 had a great ability to capture sounds, but musically, I think New Nightmare does it better." Well said, Jen. Well said. Sarah is going for Scream 2 and Melissa as well. We got Brandon in the chat saying Scream would do great as a New Nightmare approach. Have everyone who was involved in the original 3 come back playing themselves. All right. Okay, so let's go to our next category. The story, the overall story. So, of course, we have 2 sequels. One, when we talk about Scream 2, they're continuing the storyline, and we have new killers, and obviously Sydney is dealing with the events of the first film, and so forth and so forth. And with New Nightmare, obviously the whole meta situation going on with Heather Langenkamp and all the other actors, and Wes Craven himself portraying themselves and dealing with a real life evil entity in the form of Freddy. Listen, man, I think first of all, let's just get this out of the way. And we say this usually in the beginning of the episodes. First of all, both of these films are really great. And I love both of these films. So let's just get that out of the way. That being said, for story, there's no doubt, and this is almost easy street for me, but there's no doubt that I got to go with New Nightmare. Because I think the story is so creative. When I first saw this movie, I had no clue what was going to happen. And you guys got to remember, coming off of the events of Freddy's Dead, and if you've been on this channel long enough, you already know what I'm thinking.
Oh man.
And I can be honest about this. As much as I love Freddy, as much as I love Nightmare on Elm Street, by the time Freddy's Dead came out, and Freddy was everywhere, right? I got to the point where I started to lose quite a bit of faith. And when I saw this movie, I couldn't believe how quickly it turned me around. It was such a creative idea for story. So I easily, and I love Scream 2, don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite sequels in that franchise. But as far as story versus story, I got to give the credit to New Nightmare. How about you, Coriander?
I think I'm gonna do Scream.
Okay.
I mean, because for the second one to be, just as good as the first, and I liked, who the villains were and why they were doing what they were doing. So, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go with Scream.
All righty. How about you, Eric?
Oh, for me, this is super easy, and it's no disrespect to Scream 2. I'm going with New Nightmare. I do like the things that are different in Scream 2. I like, Sydney having a boyfriend again after what happened in the first film and dealing with people harassing her. That's why she's got caller ID. And then don't get me wrong, I love I'm not going to say it yet in case we have the category, but the killer reveal. I really enjoy that. But other than that, it's just kind of the same thing we had in the first film. Wes Craven's New Nightmare just knocks it out of the park with this whole meta thing. And I love the fact that it's not Freddy coming through, like hence my intro. It's not Freddy coming into the real world. Wes is having these nightmares of this ancient creature that just wants to kill the innocents, like he says, the death of innocence. And it's manifested itself into this character. And once they killed him off, it's trying to break through reality to continue its quest. Right. The fact that Freddy's creators' nightmares are causing so many problems for Heather Langenkamp. I just think that's just so cool. And then how she's going in and out of I guess you'd say the Elm Street world. You know what I mean? With John Saxon playing himself, but by the end of it, he's Lieutenant Thompson again. You know what I mean? So the twisting of the reality. I love that.
Good point. And we love John Saxon. Rest in peace to John Saxon.
Oh, hell
No
yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Okay, so let's see what we've got going on in the chat for this one. These guys are working hard, man. Very, very cool. Let's see. Rachel is saying, "Oh, I'm definitely giving story to New Nightmare. It is such a fun idea to slowly bring Freddy into our world through the people who first brought him to life." Well said. Very well said. Brandon saying, "Again, I'm going to give the story to New Nightmare. It's more original." Jen is going with New Nightmare. Mr. McFly, hello, McFly, saying, "Gotta give my vote to Scream 2 again for the story. Never liked the New Nightmare plot." Wow. Okay. Okay. Brandon going with New Nightmare. Russell going with New Nightmare. Polar going with New Nightmare. Brandon the Beldam saying, "Y'all making me vote against my favorite Scream sequel."
Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's see. Jennifer is holding the torch, man, saying story Scream 2, just because I think it felt like a great continuation of Scream. New Nightmare felt like a separate story. I think New Nightmare does something original, though. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Let's see. Brandon Rodriguez saying New Nightmare was so original and never been done before. And the fact that Heather was playing herself, then towards the ending, we see her transition into Nancy was so great. Absolutely. Thank you so much, man. That's one thing that a lot of people don't talk about. You know, Heather Langenkamp played like variations in this film, which was really, really cool to see. And Jen reminding people, please hit the like button. We'd appreciate that. And it helps us out. And Jen or Sarah or someone, if you could let us know how many likes we got, that'd be great. Sarah saying for story Scream 2, but it was close. All right. Julie saying Wes was really brave to do New Nightmare like that. As far as I know, it was the first of its kind. Yeah. It absolutely was. Troy saying story is Nightmare easy. Scream 2 is basically a revenge sequel. Nightmare is 100 times more original. All right. Paula saying Scream 2, it wasn't just about revenge. Mickey's motives were current, and everything he said about the trials today is so true. All right. Val saying for story New Nightmare was different and intriguing. Okay. And Sarah is saying we've got 33 likes. Okay, very, very cool.
There you go.
Yeah. And Melissa is saying Scream 2 if I had to pick. All right. Very, very cool. All right. Let's go to our next category. Next category is supporting characters. Supporting characters. So obviously that would be the characters. It does not include Ghostface or Freddy, and it also does not include Heather or Nev. So for me, this is easy street. This might be the most easy street question of the night, and it's got to go to Scream 2. And it's almost not even close. Although that being said, I really appreciated New Nightmare and the characters, and obviously the real life, people that were portrayed in the film. And it was nice to see that transition. You know, like you said, you got John Saxon, you got Robert Englund, you got Wes Craven himself, Bob Shea, all of these. You even had Lynn Shay in this film. She didn't play herself, but she was playing another civil servant, which I thought was really cool nod. But you know, come on, man, you're talking about Gail, you're talking about Dewey, you know, two of the OG3. You're talking about Randy, who I thought was really, really good in this. Laurie Metcalf was so good in this, especially during the reveal. Timothy Oliphant is a G. I love Timothy Oliphant. He was great in this. So to me, it's just too stacked for Scream 2. So I'm going with Scream 2 on this one. How about you, Coriander?
This is tough, honestly, because I mean, both movies had good supporting characters.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, it's kind of like a toss-up, man.
Sometimes it'd be like that.
I know. Well, let's see. I think I'm going to go with New Nightmare. Just because, you had Wes, and it was pretty cool, actually seeing him being himself, and I'm gonna go with that.
All right. How about you, Eric?
Excuse me. I'm going with New Nightmare, and here's why. I just enjoyed the characters a lot more in that, and I've never hidden the fact that I'm not a big fan of Dewey. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I've grown to love him a little bit over the years, but I've never liked him. He's lovable, but he's too bumbling to be a police officer for me. So he's
Mhm.
okay. I do not like Randy at all in Scream 2. I find him obnoxious, and the fact that he's supposed to be this movie buff and he gets the aliens quote wrong, and he doesn't realize it. But
Right.
I do love Debbie Salt. I love Mickey just being crazy. You know what I mean? But the other
Mhm.
characters are just kind of there for me. Now in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I think Wes himself gives a pretty damn good performance for being a director. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
You can't really beat John Saxon. Robert is Robert, whether he's being goofy or he's being afraid when he's painting. Miko Hughes is really good for a child actor. Bob
Mhm.
Shea, I think they're all really, really good. And even the babysitter Tracy, she's really
Yeah.
likable as like the best friend to Heather Langenkamp. So I just enjoyed them a lot more.
Okay. All right. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. Let's see. Do. Rachel saying, this one goes to Scream 2, especially because it's more of an ensemble cast. Russell is going with Scream 2. Marty is going with Scream 2. Melissa's going with Scream 2. Brandon saying Scream 2 for supporting characters. I love Mickey, Joel, Haley, Derek, and Casey. Polar is going with Scream 2. Paula going with Scream 2. Jen is holding the torch. Jen is, she's trying to make this thing happen. It's tough, man. It's tough. Saying, I'm going to give it to New Nightmare. All right. All right. Rachel saying, I do love seeing Wes play himself in New Nightmare. Yeah, that was really cool, man.
Yeah,
Especially,
it
let me just say
was.
something too, especially now,
Mm-hmm.
obviously with him not being with us any longer. And anytime I can see him talk,
Yeah.
whether it's old interviews or documentaries or things like that, but especially in this movie, it puts a smile on my face, man, when we were watching this. And I think I even said that to you, Coriander. I just, I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
Wes, such a kind person and a
Mm-hmm.
humble person. He was a special breed. He really, really was. No doubt at all.
And like I said, for a director, he did pretty good in this movie. Like I always look to the scene where he's telling Heather what's going on, and
Yeah.
then he realizes he possibly caused Chase's death, and he's stumbling. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To her,
Yeah, that
and
was a good scene.
he was really good in that.
Yeah. Agreed. Mike's in the chat saying, "What's up, Knight? What's up, Mike? Good to have you here. Hope you're doing well. And by the way, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. Please do." Jennifer saying, "Scream 2 has the best supporting characters. Always good for a laugh and some sort of craziness." Yeah, yeah. Sarah saying it's hard to beat the characters of the original Scream trilogy for supporting characters. Okay. Yep. Gotcha. Troy saying, I'm the biggest Nightmare fan there is, and I think Scream takes this one pretty easily. All right. Okay. In this category, that is. Okay. I like the in this category, that is. That was good. I like how you added that. That was good. Okay. Next up, Wes versus Wes. Okay. So obviously, this is our director category, and we have Wes going against himself. And the question is always about, which film did he do the better job with? Now, I think this is a tough one because he did some great things in both, and he had similar tasks, but they were also very different. He had to follow up the original Scream and prove that it wasn't just a fluke. And that's a huge task because when Scream came out, like I said, and we talked about this earlier, it revitalized the genre. It truly did. With Nightmare, it was like, okay, Wes is back. Can he save this franchise? This franchise was on the edge of a cliff. It might have already started to fall off the cliff doing Looney Tunes on Elm Street for Freddy's Dead. Okay.
Right on the bed of spikes.
On the bed of spikes. You guys know what we're talking about. It was a rough go with that sixth movie, that part 6.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a huge task, but to play it meta, to me, was a really big risk to do something so different in the franchise. So I gotta give it to New Nightmare on this one, because I think with Scream 2, the strength of those first 4 films, especially the first 3, you had a cast that was so good together. The chemistry was so good together when you talk about Nev and David and Courtney. And I'm not saying that made those films easier, but you could rest on them a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Because they were so good together. And that's what the Scream movies are about, is about the characters. It's not about Ghostface. Well, with New Nightmare, it's about Freddy Krueger and trying to figure out, are we going to still be stupid and silly, or are we going to get back to brass tacks? And Wes found a way to do it. And it was absolutely bonkers. I know Kill, if he was here tonight, he'd be saying the same thing, because we've had this conversation so much about how, Wes just conquered so much to make New Nightmare what it was. So I'm going with New Nightmare on this. How about you, Coriander?
Yeah, I'm going to go along with you, definitely.
Okay. All right. Eric, how about you?
Oh, New Nightmare easily. And that's no disrespect to Scream 2. Scream 2 is my favorite Scream movie. Okay. So it's on that pedestal for me. But New Nightmare, just what he's doing with the concept in general. You know what I mean? The bending of reality is what I like. And it's just like you said, Freddy's scary again. Whether he's a demon or this ancient being, whatever, it's still Freddy Krueger to a lesser extent. And Freddy is scarier again. And he's updating it. You know what? We have a different look. You know what I mean? So we still got that nod. We have the great nods to the originals, the original movie itself, but it's still its own movie. Scream's meta sometimes just gets a little too meta for me. And a lot of times it can be seen as overkill. So I got to give it to New Nightmare for those reasons.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Rachel saying, giving this one a New Nightmare. As I'm watching it now, I'm marveling at how well done it is. There's such a sense of dread in this movie. I love the slowly creeping presence of Freddy. Yeah, they went back to basics, man. Yeah. Yep. Marty saying, I feel bad not giving New Nightmare any votes so far, but like you said, following up the original Scream is a hard task. My vote is for Scream 2. All right.
Vote for who you want to vote for. No wrong answer.
That's right. Let's see. Melissa is going with New Nightmare on this one. All right. Paul is going with Scream 2. Russell is going with Scream 2. Jen saying, and this is very true, it's hard to direct and act at the same time. I'm going with New Nightmare. All right. Brandon is jumping ship, saying I give it to Scream 2. All right. Okay. Troy saying he's going with Nightmare, saying Night summed up all my thoughts perfectly. Oh, okay. All right. Very cool. Polar said I missed what category we're voting on. Basically, director, Wes versus himself. Which film did he would you give the point to? Do you think he had the tougher task, or you think he did the better job, or what have you? Let's see. And you guys are telling her what it is. That's awesome. You guys are all right. Okay, let's go to our next category. The acting. And in this category, we're going to go specifically with Nev Campbell and Heather Langenkamp. As far as the acting, which actress, and these are two of the biggest icons in horror, two of the greatest scream queens of all time, in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree. So who are we going to give the point to? Is it New Nightmare as far as acting for Heather Langenkamp, or Scream 2 for Nev? In my opinion, this is really tough, but there's one way that I figured out the point on this, and it is what it is. Both these films have similarities, but also differences. With Nev Campbell, the chemistry that she has with all of the other characters is really, really good. And that's what makes this film, in my opinion, one of the best sequels. It's probably my favorite sequel. It's always there in the top 2 or 3. Okay. Heather Langenkamp, so much was focused on her, you know what I mean? Her trauma, dealing with the situation with her son. And obviously, as some people had alluded to in the chat and we've talked about here, she not only played a heightened version of herself but then she actually became Nancy again. I got to give this one to Heather on this one. And I think it's because of the fact that it's a more complex role, you know, and that's no disrespect to Neve Campbell, because I think she was great in hers, but to me, this is a much more difficult thing to accomplish. So I got to go with Heather on this one. How about you, Coriander?
Yeah, you know, you keep saying it really well, and yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go that way too.
You could have gone first. All right.
Well, no.
How about you, Eric?
Heather Langenkamp, easy. Now, Nev is really good in this, in Scream 2, like really good. But Heather is great. And it's not just the switch between Heather and Nancy that I really like. I think she's the best as herself, you know what I mean? Because there are those scenes that I gravitate towards now as an adult. The scene where she's talking to John Saxon in the park, you know, not paying attention to Dylan when he's climbing, but she's talking about how she has a family history of mental illness. You know what I mean? So she gets real serious with him. I love the scenes when the doctor is questioning her, and I love that actress who played the doctor. She's a great character that I forgot to bring up. But, you know, just Heather questioning her own sanity at times. You know what I mean? She was really good in that. And then again, when she's accusing Wes, you know, did you know that this was going to kill Chase type of thing?
Mm-hmm.
And then when she was in full, you know, lack of a better term, like Mama Bear, you know, role at the end when she was, you know, finally fighting this demon to save her son. You know, there's no comparison.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very, very cool. In the chat, Polar is going with New Nightmare. Russell is going with Scream 2. Jennifer is going with Scream 2, saying Nev, she knocks it out of the park every time. All right. Marty is saying this is tied. There can't be any ties. That's the fun of this and the difficulty. Sarah's going with Nev. Julie is going with Nev. Jen says definitely Heather. All right. Brandon is saying Nev was great, but Heather having to switch from herself to Nancy was remarkable. I'd give it to New Nightmare. Okay. Melissa's going with Nev. Let's see. Paul is saying Scream 2, without a doubt. Sydney reminded me of Linda Hamilton. All right. Rachel says, I hate having to choose. I love them both so much, and it's so hard to choose. But Heather is playing herself, turning into a fictional character, and it's just so good at that. It goes to her. Well said. Okay. Ghostface Fanatics in the chat. What's going on? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Polis said New Nightmare also had a child actor, so kudos. Still voting Scream 2, though. Troy saying Heather, my favorite final girl, and this is her best performance.
Agreed.
All right. James is in the chat. What's going on, James? Good to see you. Saying Heather Langenkamp gave her best performance in New Nightmare. All right. Very, very cool. And by the way, if you guys have just jumped in, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps us out. Okay, we're going to go to our next category, guys. Favorite scene. Now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go in reverse. So, Eric, we're going to start with you, and then Coriander, and then me.
Okay.
Favorite scene, bro.
Me and Kill, we always do the first one that pops in our head. New Nightmare. It's the scene where Freddy is coming out of the bed. And, you know, it's imposed with, you know, Heather talking to the doctor, but just the way he just slowly stands up and the bed, the sheet is stretching with him. And just the way he, you know, he does that little cut and then you just see his eyes and then suddenly, boom, he yanks it down. The score hits. We have that nod to Nosferatu with the Dracula, you know, Bram Stoker's Dracula with the shadow. Freddy is just looking so badass with his new look. Perfect scene. New Nightmare.
Okay. All right. Coriander, how about you?
So I'm gonna do New Nightmare when the kid's in the hospital with like the babysitter and Freddy gets her.
I'm gonna play Skin the Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, putting her up on the ceiling and all over the wall, and this poor kid is like right there watching this, and
Excellent choice.
Poor little Gage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, poor little Gage. And what a riff. And shout out to Pet Cemetery, which I know Eric,
Yeah.
you're the biggest fan of. And what a riff on the Tina kill from the original,
Mm-hmm.
which usually I would say, bro, don't touch legendary shit, right? But this is one example where Wes was able to homage it and do something a little bit different, and it's good. It's so good. When he stands up, rising up behind.
Yeah.
It's like,
And he's got those leather pants on. I'm sorry, but Freddy in leather pants, I like it.
Wow. All right.
I'm just saying, it looks good.
But I will say his look is amazing, and I know if Kill was here tonight, he'd be talking about that so
He'd be right
much,
there
'cause
with me.
He loves the trench coat and the way that Freddy looks in this film.
Yeah. Coriander, she did a great choice. Like I said earlier, they do their nods to the original movie, but they change it up too, because we actually get to see Freddy dragging her around. And like you said, Nico
Right.
Hughes is watching it. And just, him standing upside down, looking at Dylan, just
creepy.
fucking with him, you know what I mean? And then suddenly she reaches out, and what does he do? He doesn't stab her. He just kind of puts his hands on her chin, just
boom.
Snaps her neck.
Yeah, really showing like how powerful he is. But like you said, to show it this time, like before with Tina, we didn't see him, and it was just our mind working. But this was very effective. Now, for me, this is tough because I do love that scene in New Nightmare. It's fantastic. It's amazing. I also love the first time that he comes out of the closet and faces Heather, and it's kind of like, yeah, we're back, and even he calls her Nancy. It's a great scene. I love it. It is so well done. That being said, I'm going with Scream 2. Okay. And the reason I'm going with Scream 2 is because I gotta go with Gale's chase scene. That chase scene is so good. And I've said this before, speaking about multiple films in the franchise. I still think that that's like a benchmark in the franchise of how to do a really good chase scene. And and let me explain it. It's not just the chase. Okay. It's the way that it's set up. Her and Dewey are finally, kind of back on good terms, and they're trying to figure out the identity of the killer, and they think they're on the right track. So as a viewer, you're invested. You're like, okay, they're going to figure it out. They're looking at the footage and everything. And then boom, you've got the ghost face attack. And you also realize, and of course we knew this earlier, but it's proven that it's two, or at least two of them. You see one up in the projector room, and then of course the one that's there. It's like, how did that happen? But it's great. It's great. And Gale, this chase scene, this was great. This is what solidified Gale for me as one of my favorite characters in the franchise. But it was so tense, so well done. And then Dewey getting stabbed, and we thought dying. Like, that was just gut wrenching. So this is a tough category, but I'm telling you, man, I love that chase scene so much. So I gotta go with Scream 2 on that. Okay. All right, let's check out the chat. This is gonna be interesting. I have a feeling we're gonna get some good stuff here. I love it. I love it. Rachel saying New Nightmare, the scene between Wes and Heather, like Knight said before, seeing Wes now hits so differently. Plus, it's such a great meta scene. It is, man. It is. Like I said, seeing that scene, it put a smile on my face and also choked me up a little bit at the same time. It was really, really, he's the best. He's the best. Brandon saying New Nightmare, the entire finale, really. But when Freddy is chasing Dylan into the oven is my favorite. Okay. Let's see. Melissa going with New Nightmare. Russell is going with Scream 2, the chase scene. Jen is going New Nightmare with the Julie kill. All right. Let's see. James saying my favorite scene is when John Saxon turns into Donald Thompson. There you go. There you go. Jose's in the chat. What's going on? Good to see you. Ghostface Fanatic is saying Scream 2, Cece's death. All right. Jennifer saying Gale's chase scene, so tense and perfectly timed. Yeah, it's a great one. It's a great one. Let's see. Val saying that Jen's death scene was great. Yes. Yep. Polar saying I actually really love when Drew quotes her book at her. That dialogue was tough for sure, and I eat it up. All right. Dewey quotes her book at her. Let's see. James saying yes, Rachel and Freddie is waiting for Heather to accept the role of Nancy. Yeah. Hey, we got Child of the Corn in the chat. Anthony, what's going on? Good to see you. And he's saying Scream 2, best first direct sequel of all time. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for the super chat, man. Thank you so much. It is a great sequel. We were talking about that earlier. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Okay. Let's see. I think I'm caught up here in the chat. Troy also saying, favorite scene, the TV studio with Heather and Robert. Feels like something that may have happened for real with just a touch of creepiness at the end. Yes. Hey, we got Kyle in the chat. What's up, Kyle? Good to see you, man. Saying, hey there, Night. Scream 2 Gale's chase scene, Scream 3's ending battle. Okay, so we're going with Scream 2 with the chase scene. All right. Good to have you here, man. All right. And Polar, thank you so much for putting the links in the chat. We appreciate that. Yeah, Slayfest resumes tomorrow on Wednesday night on Steven's channel. Then we'll be back here on Thursday night. All right. Very, very cool. Okay, let's go with our next category. Let's see. And I want to make sure I pull this up here correctly. And it is kind of close. Jose was saying, who's winning? It's actually pretty close here. Okay, our next category, and let me just switch you guys up here. Okay, Eric, the best kill in either movie. The best kill. What do you think?
I already praised Coriander's choice for her favorite scene. I'm going with Julie in the hospital when we actually get to see what Freddy's doing, dragging her around, doing it not just to kill Julie, but to also scare the crap out of Dylan. You know what I mean? That's what he's enjoying. He's enjoying killing Julie, but he's enjoying it more because he's got an audience.
Right.
And then, like I said, she's not stabbed to death. It's just a simple fingers to the chin, and he just snaps her neck like that.
Yeah.
And then she's stuck on the ceiling. He's laughing until Dylan yells, and then whoosh, that's when she falls.
Okay. All right. How about you, Coriander?
I think I'm gonna have to do Scream when the boyfriend's all tied up and Mickey was like, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I just wanted to make sure. And I'm hearing myself. Am I echoing? Because I'm echoing in my
headphones.
I don't hear you. No.
All right. It's kind of throwing me off. But yeah, because he's like trying to confuse Sydney, saying, here, another boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. And I felt, you felt bad for the dude because, yeah, he was innocent. And yeah, it would suck to be her boyfriend because
that's right.
Yeah, it just hasn't worked out so far. So,
right.
Yeah,
I know. You really did feel for Sydney in that sense. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
So,
all right. Yeah. Okay. So for me, this is a real challenging one because I think that there's good deaths or good kills, I should say, in both films. And you guys had mentioned Julie's death, and it is so well done. I didn't know what to expect when I first saw this movie, and that's a lot of times that's the lens that I like to look through is when I first saw it, what were my thoughts when it happened. And again, what a great riff on probably the best kill scene, not only in the franchise, but one of the best kill scenes in horror with that Tina death. I still, that whole run through of moments was just so well done. Shout out to Amanda Weiss on that one. That being said, I gotta go with Scream 2. Okay, there is no lie. There has never been any lying here, and this is not a hot take. I gotta go with Cece's death, and the reason I'm going with her death is because it was such a great setup. Everyone's gone. She's there, kind of, guarding the house and all that. You know, she's the sober sister. It's a great setup with the call. Shout out to Roger L. Jackson as always. You get the reveal that, you know, we got more than one killer, and the chase was pretty good. Not as good as Gale's for sure, but it was pretty good. And I'm thinking, you know, and this is part of a little bit of the meta of it. I'm thinking, this is Sarah Michelle Gellar. She's got to get out of this thing. And she was doing pretty good. She was running good. She was throwing stuff in Ghostface's path. And I'm like, she's going to make it. Nope. She gets stabbed. She gets thrown through the glass door. And I'm like, man, that's pretty bad. Can she fight through this? And she gets stabbed, and she's getting stabbed. And I'm like, well, geez, can she get through this? No, because she gets thrown off the fucking balcony.
For good measure, right? Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I mean, it was so visceral. The way it was done, it was just like, wow, you know.
Was
and
she
it's
Buffy yet when this movie came out?
Rachel would be able to tell, because Rachel is a huge Buffy buff. I don't know if she was Buffy at that. Well, yeah, she was.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
I don't
that's
even.
Exactly.
The question is, was it still going on?
Yeah, it had to have been, right?
I was just wondering because, you know, she
97.
did get some shots in on Ghostface, if she was Buffy or not.
She did, and that's what I'm saying, man. I'm thinking to myself, you know, come on, they're not going to kill Sarah Michelle Gellar. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to do that. And yes, they did. You know, in this movie, you get the big connections between, you know, I Know What You Did Last Summer and Urban Legend. You know what I mean? Which was really cool because Rebecca Gayheart was in this film too. So it's like, again, Scream is the daddy, right? Rachel says, yes, she was. I thought so. Polar saying, yes, she was Buffy because she was watching the vampire movie. That was a great nod too. Yes. Okay. But yeah, I gotta go with that kill because, like I said, with the CC death, I was just like, no, I was so invested. And she wasn't even a big character, but it was Sarah being in the film, you know? So that was the big thing for me. Okay, real quick. Marty is going with Randy's kill in Scream 2. Wow. Okay. Brandon's going with CC. We've got, let's see, Kyle saying the best kill, New Nightmare, the beginning with the Claw Nancy's Nightmare. Ooh, that forever stayed with me. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I love that, you know, that I keep calling it the Terminator glove. You know what I mean?
That's right.
The endoskeleton or whatever. It looked really cool.
Yeah, it did. Julie saying Julie's death is pretty good, but I'm going with CC. All right. James is going with Julie. Sarah is going with CC. Ghostface is going with CC. Wow, this is really cool. This is a close battle. Well, kind of close. We'll see. We'll see, but this is interesting. Rachel says, I'm casting another vote for Julie's death in New Nightmare. Really solidifies that Freddy's here and he's horrifying. Rachel is taking a stand for New Nightmare. All right, that's cool. Polar saying Derek's death was sad. I would never hurt you, Sid. It was sad, bro. And can I just give some credit to Jerry in that role, because he played it so well. He was a good guy, right? But he also obviously was a red herring. And there was certain moments with just the way that he would look at Sydney that was very good. It wasn't hammy. It wasn't over the top. So you really did believe at the end when Mickey was saying that, you're like, oh crap, here we go again. And originally that was part of the idea that he was going to be one of the killers, but that was changed. But he was so good in the role, and he was one of the only truly good characters in these films, other than like Dewey. Like, he was a really good guy, and it sucks, man. Anthony is going with Maureen Evans in the theater, Beyond Legendary. All right. Paul is going with Scream 2. Let's see who else in here. I can't get everyone, but we're trying. Let's see. Troy is saying, I'll go with the cop in Scream 2. As much as I love Julie's death in New Nightmare, we have literally seen it before. That's true. Very true. Let's see. And Rachel was also saying she filmed Scream 2 near season 2 of Buffy. Yeah, she was doing double duty, man. Yeah. Rachel said, and I know Rachel's a huge Buffy fan. She says, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. They had to have her run in bare feet because she was so in shape that she kept outrunning the killer.
Damn, that's cool.
That is awesome. Wow.
Good for
I
her.
did not know that. That was
Mhm.
really cool. Holy crap. I love it. Sarah says, Buffy's my favorite show of all time. Don't get me started. I won't stop. Ha ha ha. There you go. There you go. Yeah, definitely check out Rachel's channel. She's got some good stuff, especially with stuff like Buffy and TV. You guys will
Okay.
love it. Elm Street's Last Brat's in the chat. What's up,
There
man?
he is.
Welcome. Very, very cool. Yes. And again, as you guys come on in, please hit the like button. It helps to support the channel. Kenny's in the chat. Good to see you. And we have a new member. Hallelujah. There it is.
Hey.
There, and look who
Nice.
it is. Oh man, my brother, Jason. What what's up, bro? Thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. Backtrack Cinema, our good buddy for a long, long time on here. Jason, thanks so much, man. Definitely, I support Backtrack Cinema as well. And thank you for supporting us and being part of our membership here, man. That's very, very kind and generous of you, and we definitely appreciate it. No doubt about it. So, look, let's play a clip for Jason. Let's welcome him into the fold. And you guys know what? Who even don't know?
Nothing.
All right, you guys know what we got to do. All right, let's do this thing. Here we go.
This. Like this. Swing your hips, baby. Swing your hips. Fire! Swing your hips.
There you go, man. Sometimes you just got to swing your hips. That's all I got to say. Jason, thank you so much, brother. We appreciate you. And seriously, man, you're all right. You're all right. You guys are welcoming him into the family. Much appreciated for that too. Thank you. And Rachel, you're welcome. Saying thanks for the shout out night. Of course. I mean, you guys and a lot of you guys are content creators too. You know, definitely all of you guys have some great stuff. And you know, it's good to have a community where we can all hang out and support each other as well. So yeah. All right. Very, very cool. So let's go to our next category. We're getting deep here in the trenches, Eric. You know, and sometimes that can happen. Okay. So next category, the attack scene. And we're talking about for Sydney when she gets attacked the first time after taking the phone call. Hello, Sydney. I love it. Stuck in the house. You've got Derek there. You're wondering what's going on. Dewey comes to the rescue, sort of, kind of. And of course, for New Nightmare, we're talking about the first scene where we see Freddy and Heather, basically him coming out of the closet and attacking her, and then realizing that she's Heather, but calling her Nancy. So, Eric, which attack scene do you want to give the point to?
If it's those two specific ones, as great as that one is in Scream 2, I'm going with New Nightmare. And it's a great jump scare. You know he's popping out of that closet, but it still gets you, okay?
Yeah, she takes her time looking around before he does it, yeah.
And Heather's scream and her reaction, like right after that, like you see her on camera, that is like the perfect reaction. It's a quick fight. It's fine for me. But what gets me is not just when he gets like face to face and he's like inches from her and he whispers Nancy.
Yes.
I like how it's in the dark. You know, the use of the, it's not necessarily black, for the dark. It's like a little bit of a blue hint. You know what I mean? So it's very off-putting. So you can't really see how different Freddy is, but you know it's not the same one. And then just that line where he just says, miss me, and Robert, because, it's him, but just the way Robert kind of tilts his head. And he kind of smirks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right before he pounces on her.
Right. Very meta, it's kind of like saying, you guys have missed the dark Freddy and, I'm back, bitches.
Yeah, because even earlier, we have that scene where the talk show that was someone in the chat mentioned, Robert is being Freddy's dead Freddy. He's hamming it up, goofing, and, hey, babe, let's do lunch. And now we got Scary Freddy again.
That's a really good point, man. Robert was, and of course, obviously he can play both because he has played both, but it was cool in the movie to really show that difference,
Mm-hmm.
of that Freddy that was Looney Tunes Freddy. And then, of course, this Freddy, which was the darker,
Yep.
evil entity. So, yeah, very good point. Well said, bro. Okay, Coriander, how about you?
Yeah, I have to agree with Eric. I mean, he said it perfectly. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. For me, here's the thing, man. Now, the attack scene with Sydney. Now, first of all, let me just say what I really like about that is the anticipation, because it's going to happen sooner or later. Sooner or later, she's going to have to start dealing with Ghostface, right? So you're just wondering how it's going to happen, and it's just so iconic, and a lot of that credit to Nev, of course, but also Roger L. Jackson. We got to give Roger some credit because we've seen movies where a phone call can be great, and we've seen, those types of situations where the phone call, whatever, that's not scary, whatever. The way he delivers his lines, the way he enunciates and so forth, he's just amazing. He's absolutely an icon, and I want to give him credit. And of course, with New Nightmare, I think that's an iconic scene in the franchise. I truly do. And it was really, it was a coming out party for Freddy, literally. But what was great about that scene, and you alluded to it as well, Eric, is the build up to it, because the lights are out. Heather is searching around in the dark. She sees the coffee pot is broken and it's not in the right place. And so she's just trying to, she's trying to get her wits together. And it's just a perfect timing of that scene when he comes out of the closet. And when he said Nancy, it was just so menacing. So obviously I gotta go with New Nightmare on this because of all of those factors put together, and I think the bigger thing too is that with Scream, because you had multiple attack scenes, which was great, and you had multiple chase scenes. Some were longer than others, obviously Gale's being the best in my personal opinion, that is. So that's what put that attack scene in Scream a little bit lower, and that's part of the reason too that I got to give this point to New Nightmare. So all right. Let's go to the chat and see what these guys are saying. This has been a really interesting episode. People are going back and forth, man. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I love it though. That's why we love doing these episodes.
Yeah, I'm
really
I'm not gonna lie. I joked earlier that the Scream army is out in full, but it seems like the chat's now going back and forth, being 50-50.
Yeah, it does seem like that. It really
So
does.
that's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Russell saying, got to go with the closet scene in New Nightmare. All right. Brandon saying, well, I'll give the attack scene to New Nightmare. Miss me? Exactly. Polar saying, I'm going with New Nightmare this time. All right. Okay. Troy saying, miss me? Hell yes, I did. New Nightmare. That was good. Good for you, Troy. Good for you. Jen saying, New Nightmare. Polar saying, Sid was very come at me, bruh, before that was even a saying. That's true. It's very true, Polar. I love that. Rachel saying, New Nightmare. I agree with Eric. It's a great jump scare and so meta. Yep. Elm Street's Last Brat is going with New Nightmare, as he should. Okay. All right. Let's see. And now you guys are talking about a couple other attack scenes. So we were just talking about those particular two because of the parallels, as far as our protagonists facing the killer, right there. And it's not a long attack scene for either one. So I thought that's why it would be a fair comparison. Let's see. Polar says, guess who's turning off Elf to put on Scream 2? She raises her hand. That's great. Oh, you gotta love it. Rachel says, clumsy Ghostface is always great. There you go. All right. Very, very cool. Okay, let's go to our next category. As we always talk about, Eric, we've got to talk about the scarier threat. The scarier threat between the two. And again, for you guys in the chat, the way we're going to answer this, because sometimes people get confused, but the way we're answering this category is if you're in the situation that is happening in the movie. Okay. So Eric, what do you think? Scarier threat, New Nightmare or Scream 2?
Shit. This is probably, honestly, for me so far, this is the hardest category because you have multiple killers in Scream 2, and you, of
Mhm.
course, you have the mystery. You don't know who to trust.
Right.
I'm going to give it to New Nightmare based on this fact. Now, Nancy or anyone involved in Nancy is, a would-be victim, whether they're asleep or awake. You know what I mean? If you
Oh.
stay awake, you're safe from Freddy. We've seen it multiple times. But
Mhm.
now Nancy or Heather can be awake and Julie can get taken out, and also if Dylan falls asleep, it's his dreams as well, that's
Mhm.
bringing Freddy into the real world. So it's not just, again, it's not just the dream world, it's the real world that is more of a danger in this
Right.
one. So I got to go with this version of Freddy and New Nightmare.
Okay. All right. Coriander, how about you?
Oh yeah, definitely Freddy. I mean, he's a friggin' demon. He's not just sure he was a dream demon, but
Mhm.
he's like a demon that's coming into like the real world. So
Mhm.
yeah, well, not that Freddy did, but you know what I mean.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
dude was like, this version was Freddy was just in the movie, well, in real life, way too much. So definitely, yeah,
Okay.
Freddy.
Okay. For me, and Eric, you alluded to this, is a challenging question. Because and part of the challenge for me is timing, right?
Mhm.
Because you're up against the clock if you're Sydney, right? You have the two killers, but you don't know who to trust. How much time do you have to deal with this situation? Right? Are they right on your heels? Are they going to be playing games to mess around with you? Or are they going to just come to kill you? Right. And of
Mhm.
course, with New Nightmare, you're dealing with the fact that Freddy is real. There's no more spikes in the middle of the road.
Mhm.
We are done with Looney Tunes.
No power
Okay?
glove.
No power glove. Okay. He is actually real. Like, you don't want to shake his hand because he's got a real glove. You get what I'm saying? So for that fact alone, I gotta go with New Nightmare, because here's the thing: is not only is he real, but the question is, well, how do you beat him? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You actually had to go to his realm, which is a whole nother thing, which of course in the movie I thought was really cool, very reminiscent of something like Sigourney Weaver, going into the lion's den to save Newt. Heather is
Mhm.
like, hey, I'm gonna save my son. I've already lost my husband.
Yeah.
I don't care where I have to go, even if it is in the pit of hell, which it was, to defeat Freddy and to get her son back, to save her son. So look, man, I gotta go with New Nightmare on this. I just truly do. It's one of those ones where, even though we talk about timing, the reality of it is we've got a dream demon that becomes real.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and he's after
Mhm.
and he's after me. Like, and it's like, okay, that's really, really messed up. Okay, let's see what we got going on in the chat. See what these guys think. Rachel is saying this one absolutely goes to Freddy. You could probably outrun Ghostface in certain situations.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know I could. But Freddy, not only getting into your dreams, but into our world, freaking terrifying. All right. All right. Scott's in the chat. What's going on, Scott? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Elm Street's Last Brat saying a way bigger threat in New Nightmare.
Mhm.
Okay. Jen saying New Nightmare remains the only horror movie that scared
Oh
me.
wow.
Okay. Paula is holding the torch. She is saying that Ghostface is scarier than Freddy Krueger. There you go. All right. Ghostface Fanatic is saying New Nightmare by far. If you fall asleep, he attacks you. That's frightening. Yep. But also in this film, he's real. He's real. He's real.
And if a Ghostface fanatic says it, that's something, you know.
There you go. Yeah, good point, Eric. You're right. Good for you, buddy. Sarah says we're up to 40 likes. That is awesome. That is awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see. Let me see if I can catch up some more with you guys. And Ghostface Fanatic saying Freddy is a demon. Yeah.
Mhm.
Jennifer saying that she's going with New Nightmare. Way scarier. Way scarier. Okay. All right. Very, very cool. All right, let's go to our next category. Eric, we're going to talk about the finale of the films. And obviously, we know what that is. I mean, it's obviously when Heather goes to Freddy's realm, and of course, at the end in the theater when Sydney is confronted by the killers.
Again, both really, really good.
Right?
Oh. And as much as I praise Heather protecting Dylan already in New Nightmare, I'm going with Scream 2, and here's why. I'm a sucker for a vengeful mother. You know what I mean? I love a protective mother, like Heather is, but I'm a sucker for a vengeful mother. And Laurie Metcalf is, like, in my opinion, is the star of the movie. You know, whether she's, obviously she's involved. You know, the West didn't try to hide that so much, but when she's in full Billy's mom mode, she is great. Timothy Oliphant as Mickey, who is just flat. His reasoning is just because he's crazy. You know what I mean? I love it. It's super simple like that. You know what I mean? And Oliphant, he loses it, and he's just so much fun. I love, and I forgot to mention him earlier. Like, he's really good in Scream 2. You know, Cotton's there. You know, who does he decide to shoot? You know what I mean? So, and it's just really such a really, really good finale. And I'm glad Cotton gets his interview. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and I think that was really cool. I was saying that with Coriander. I was like, Sydney's a great character. I mean, I just but I think it was so cool that she said, Cotton, he's the one who saved us. He's the hero. Talk to him. And then the look that Liev Schreiber gave to Neve Campbell, it was just great. It's like little things like that elevates a film.
Yeah, it's great because Cotton, no offense to Sydney, he was a major victim too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Falsely imprisoned, didn't do anything wrong. He had an affair, but he didn't do anything wrong. In his world, you know what I mean? He's framed for murder, and now he gets to get his story out. You know what I mean? Like,
right. That's right. Very, very well said. Coriander, how about you?
Yeah, Eric, you did say it well. So there you go. I'm going to go that way.
Come on, man. All right. Okay, you're going with Scream 2. All right. For me, yes, Eric, you said it very well, but let me give you my point on this too.
Okay.
I think both finales did some different things, right? One is much more fantastical and so forth, and one is obviously based in reality, and it's hinging on the tension and the whodunit aspect, because you really don't know. And this was one of the, and I know some people have mixed feelings a little bit about some parts of the reveal for Scream 2, but there's a lot of fantastic stuff in that scene, especially like you said perfectly, Eric, with Cotton and so forth. So I gotta go with Scream 2 because of the fact, and although I love New Nightmare's finale, and it's very cool the way they realized that realm and what Freddy was and so forth, and Heather against Freddy, this final confrontation to save Dylan. I love all that. With Scream 2, at that point, you're still so invested in the mystery. Like, okay, who is it? Who is it? And when Mickey reveals himself, that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning, because you're just trying to figure all of this out. And I just think all of the actors, Timothy Oliphant, Neve, Laurie Metcalf, Courtney Cox, Liv, all of them were so good in this finale that it outweighs it for me. So I've got to go with Scream 2 on this one for me. Okay, let's see what we got going on in the chat. I know this is going to be an interesting one to see what people think. Let's see. All right. Rachel is saying, so this one goes to New Nightmare. It's great to see Heather become Nancy and take on Freddy to save her kid. All right. Let's see. Marty is saying Scream 2 finale. Mickey's amazing, and Nancy Loomis is a great homage to Mrs. Voorhees. Yes. Brandon is going with Scream 2. Ghostface Fanatic is going with Scream 2. I like Cotton. He had to choose who to shoot. It was a great scene.
Yep.
And Rachel also talking about the original ending of Scream 2. Yeah, it was much darker. And yeah, but again, it's very interesting, and we were going to have 2 different killers too, man. So Scott saying he's going with New Nightmare is more grandiose in my opinion. Elm Street's Last Brat saying Laurie Metcalf took it home in Scream. All right, Elm Street's Last Brat is going with Scream.
Mhm.
There you go. There you go. Let's see. Polar saying Aunt Jackie finally snaps after years of being bullied by her meanie pants sister. There you go.
Everybody's got a breaking point.
That's true. That's true. Good old Roseanne. Let's see. Ghostface Fanatic saying that's what makes Scream unique. You got to guess who the killer is. It's the most realistic franchise. Yeah, it is based in reality. Yes. Troy saying I will go with Scream 2 just because Laurie Metcalf is just amazing in general. All right. Yep. And yes, Marty, Derek and Haley. Yep.
Wow.
They were gonna be the killers. That's right. That is right. Okay, our next category, and you knew we were going to get to this point at some point, Eric, but sometimes, look, you got to make a choice, and this is a huge choice to make. Who we're going to give this point to, is it going to be Heather Langenkamp or Neve Campbell overall for their performances as their characters in the film?
I'm giving it to Heather. I really like Neve, but I think Heather has more to work with because I've mentioned it before, not just protecting her son, dealing with the loss of her husband. You know, is she dealing with mental illness? You know, because that doctor, you know, I hate to sound disrespectful, the doctor thinks she's crazy. You know what I mean? She doesn't believe any of this, rightfully so. And just, you know, I think she had to deal with more than Neve Campbell's character did, and she showed it more in her acting. And if you remember, I've said it before in my Dream Warriors when we did Dream Warriors Battle World, I wasn't huge on Heather's performance in that, other than a few scenes. She knocks it out of the park in this movie. So,
all right, Coriander, how about you? Who we're going to give the point to?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Heather also, just because she's has way more, you know, on our plate, plus a kid. So, yeah, man.
Okay, all right. For me, this is tough, man. I think that both films, they're just really, really good, and both of these actresses, I think, did a great job with what they were given to do. You know, Heather, obviously, you guys said a lot of great stuff, you know, how she portrayed a heightened version of herself and so forth in New Nightmare. And with Neve, dealing with the events of the first film has weight on her.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see that in her performance. And we've seen a lot of sequels where, you know, a survivor has to deal with that weight. And sometimes it works out really good. And sometimes it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? But I think Neve really nailed this role. You know, this is one of my favorite performances of her as Sidney Prescott. And I think that she really, I mean, there were so many times when she just didn't know who to friggin' trust.
Mm-hmm.
I love both of these actresses. There's no doubt. And this is tough, but I'm just going to barely give this one to Neve Campbell.
Ooh.
I'm going to barely give this one to Neve Campbell. And I think the thing of it is that when I'm watching the film, just so invested in how is she going to get out of this? Because, you know, first time you watch it, you don't know who it is. You really don't, at least for me. I had no idea who the killer was. And neither did she. I mean, she's got friggin' guards with her. You know, it's like, and she was still being, you know what I'm saying, threatened. So, and especially that scene in the car. I mean, that was such a great scene. The look on her face, the pure fear, but also the courage and resolve that she had, because she wanted to run back to the car. She wanted to get the mask off and to put it into this. If we find out who it is, we can stop this, you know? And so it's just a really great example, that quintessential final girl thing. So I just got to barely give this one to Neve on this one. All right. Cool. Let's see what these guys, I'm really curious to see what people are going to say in this chat. Oh my goodness. This is really down the wire. Polar is saying she's going with Neve, my favorite final girl. All right. Brandon is saying Heather. Nancy is my favorite final girl. All right. This is great. Russell's going with Neve. Marty is saying Neve Campbell, my favorite final girl. We got a lot of my favorite final girl. I love it. Ghostface Fanatic said Nev, by far, she was a perfect actor to play Sydney. I know I'm being biased. Okay, all right. Val is going with Heather Langenkamp. She's going with New Nightmare on this one. Let's see. Rachel is saying Nev is usually my queen, but between these two films specifically, I have to go with Heather. As both Eric and Coriander have said, she just has more to work with. All right. All right. Well said. Scott saying Heather, she had a great story arc, and she's one of my favorite final girls. All right. Paul is going with Nev. Wow, this is crazy. Elm Street's Last Brat is going with Heather, saying Nancy, Nancy, Nancy. This is crazy. Polar saying, gosh, Sydney covering Derek's chest after he was shot. Did we all break? Because I did. It's a great point.
Yeah,
That was a
sad.
really, yeah, and she was so believable in that scene. You're right. Great point, Polar. Well said. Let's see. Barb saying Sydney, I have to. There you go. Troy going with Heather. Marty saying that scene in the car is amazing, especially in theaters opening night. You could hear a pin drop when Sid escaped. The whole theater cheered. Right? Yeah. Yes, you're right. It was like, oh my God. And especially when she hits the horn. It's like, no, don't do that. Again, Wes Craven, chef's kiss.
Yep.
Right. Anthony's in the chat. What's going on? Saying I was so torn. I know, man. We're really torn about these categories as well. But that's the fun of all this, is that we have to pick one.
Yep.
We have to pick one. All right. And again, if you guys have just jumped in, please hit the like button. It helps to support us, and we would really appreciate it. Okay, so at the end of the day, Eric, we have to choose which film do you want to give the point to? Which film is the film?
I usually love the fact that you've made this pretty much a staple category, because we can show our cards and give the point to whoever we want to.
Yeah.
This is probably the toughest one for me, because I've said Scream 2 is my favorite of the franchise, and Wes Craven's New Nightmare is in my top 3. You know what I mean? Forcing my hand, I'm going New Nightmare. Again, I love the concept. Scream 2 might be a little bit more fun, but I would rather, if I'm forced to choose between the two, I'd rather watch, just based on the story, the performances, the look of Freddy, I'm going with New Nightmare.
All right. Okay. Coriander, how about you?
Yeah, I have to go with Freddy also, just because I'm a fan of Scary Freddy, and I love that. Yeah, he's
missed him.
definitely, he's definitely scary in this movie, and yeah, there you go.
Okay. For me, this, it's really tough, man, because these films, again, we talked about the parallels, but also the differences, and there are a lot of differences in these films. And Eric, you said a great point too about, Scream is more of a fun movie, to watch. New Nightmare gets pretty damn dark, even though it's meta, but it gets pretty damn dark if you sit back and you watch it for what it is, and you're like, holy shit, this is a real evil entity that has come forth from the damn films. Thanks a lot, Wes. I love you, Wes, but thanks a lot. That being said, I love both of these films so much. And Coriander, you said it great too. You bringing back Freddy the right way. That being said, I am going to choose Scream 2. And
of course,
I was waiting.
And the way, and the reason why, Eric, you actually said it. The rewatchability of it is there's fun in it. There's tension, but there's also the fun, and also this big amount of supporting characters that, like, when I was watching the film, and it's not necessarily how I grade a movie, but as I was watching the film, I smiled, so many times, and just like, oh wow, whether it's Gail's chase scene, the finale, different character moments, the chemistry, that was the strength of it, and you could look at it one way or the other, because the strength of New Nightmare was that Heather was such a focus, and she hit a home run, and she was able to be fully realized. So it's really, really tough, but I gotta go with Scream 2 on this one, man. It's close. It's really close, because I love New Nightmare. New Nightmare is in my top 3 in the Nightmare franchise, and Scream 2 is always in my top 3 in the Scream franchise. So this was almost like a coin toss for me. It really, really is. Okay, guys. So we have got to, man, this is going to be a tough one. We got to tally these points up. So real quick, let me see what you guys said in the chat as far as making the choice. And someone was really, this was funny because Barb said the moment of truth.
Yep.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Russell went with Scream 2. Ghostface Fanatic didn't let his namesake down. He went with Scream 2. Mr. McFly went with Scream 2. Rachel, this was well said. The Scream franchise, she takes that over the Nightmare franchise, but New Nightmare she takes over Scream 2. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Polar saying, eek, I'm going to go Scream 2. Love Freddy, but Sid trumps all. All right. Jennifer saying Scream 2. Val saying choosing New Nightmare, just really enjoyed the story. All right. Polar said if this was Dream Warriors, my vote would be different. There you go. Brandon saying I was jumping aboard the New Nightmare train. I enjoy the movie. The more I watch it, I still have issues with it, so it breaks me, but I'm going with Scream 2.
Okay.
All right. Barb saying Scream 2. Although this entire discussion makes me want to revisit New Nightmare. I respect the love in here for it. Very cool. Very cool, Barb. We appreciate that. And I think that's one of the fun things about this particular series is looking at two films and seeing, the ups and downs of both films, regardless of which one you might have more of an affinity for. All right. Chuck's in the chat. What's going on? All right. Let's see. Hey, we have Elm Street's Last Brat coming in with a $5 super chat, saying, I'm your boyfriend now, Sydney. Okay. So we got 5 points from Mr. Kruger. That's awesome. Someone had to come to Elm Street's aid a little bit here. Troy coming in with a $5 super chat saying New Nightmare.
Nice.
Also want to point out how good Freddy looks. Love the splitting skin, like the demon is barely contained in Freddy's body. Good stuff.
Never looked at it like that. Good job.
Very cool. Yeah, he looks great. But even Wes was wondering about that because it was such a difference, So he was wondering if that was the right choice or not. But I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. Okay, all right. So you guys for the super chats, we really appreciate that. It helps us out so much, and seriously, it makes a big difference. So let's play a little bit of a super chat clip for you guys. Here we go.
Gotta work that ass for daddy. No.
There it is. Just so you can remember where we came from.
Gift that keeps on giving.
It'll never stop giving. Okay, so we're gonna tally up the points here. So real quick, Eric, for you and Coriander, if you guys can give your final thoughts on this matchup and what has transpired here tonight.
Sure. The reason why I picked this one, it was nice to see Wes versus Wes, and then 2 meta movies from him. One where he was, ahead of the game, and that's why I think this movie didn't really do too well at the box office. People didn't understand it. Well, after he had the success of Scream with Scream 2, he had that train going, and it was great that you can still be meta, not over meta, and just respect the ones that came before you, and just have 2 really, really good sequels. And this was a lot of fun revisiting both of them.
Yeah, I enjoy, both of these movies. I mean, they're both rewatchable for me. Scream maybe a little bit more than, A New Nightmare, but I mean, I just love the way Freddy looks.
Yeah.
The pants, the boots. I mean, the hat,
the trench
olive
coat.
green hat. Yep.
Trench coat.
It all looked good. And yeah, yeah, there you go.
All right. Okay. So listen, first of all, let me just say, this is crazy the way this score is set. Okay.
Oh, no.
Now, let me let me just say this. Now, all night, this has been back and forth. We've seen you guys in the chat go back and forth. We went back and forth quite a few times too. And it's been really fun. These are two great films from the master himself. Let me, because I always like to tease this out, okay? Let me just first of all explain the points here. Okay. Now, we almost had a straight tie.
Oh, wow.
Okay, let me just say that first of all. We almost had a straight tie of 32 to 32. Okay. And that was based upon the panel vote and from the audience, from the super chats.
Wow.
Okay. But with a score of 32 to 42, the winner of tonight's Battle World is
Scream.
Freddie pulled it
Freddie.
off.
Wow.
Freddie pulled it
Thought it was gonna be
off, which
Scream.
was crazy.
He's on the comeback trail. Here we go.
Elm Street's Last Brat and Troy came in at the end.
Look at you guys.
And saved Freddie. Saved Freddie. Oh my goodness. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now of course, and let me just jump into the live chat here too, because this is crazy, man. You guys, I know everyone's on different sides. You gotta love this. You absolutely gotta love this. Yeah, Scream 2, Nightmares. Yes. Hey Chuck, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Scott was saying new Nightmare, cooler concept, better performances, great cast. Freddy actually looks scary in it. I know it's a standalone film, but it really breathed new life into what was a dead franchise. Well said. Anthony saying Heather's best performance. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Let's see. Polar saying worst part of Scream 2 is introducing Stab to the franchise. Loved it in Scream 2, but it's been overdone now. There you go.
True.
Let's see. Barb saying I had to even vote since I saw people voting for Freddie. That's awesome. Barb saying, did you see post about 10 additional votes? Did I miss one here?
Not that I know of. I wasn't paying 100% attention.
Wow. Okay. All right. I did not see that. Now, let me just say, oh, okay. So they didn't get counted. Was that a Venmo, Barb? Because I didn't see a message once we had started the tallying. Let me know. Sarah saying such a fun one. Oh, it was. Okay.
Unless I'm missing it, I'm not seeing anything before or after Elm Street Last Brat and Troy McClure. They're 2 5s for a new Nightmare.
Oh, okay.
Unless I'm overlooking it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I didn't see it. I'm sorry about that, Barb. Wow. Polar says recount. Oh my gosh. That's too funny. Oh, right before I tallied, I posted it in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry, Barb. It's not showing up here.
Yeah, I don't see
it. So look, let me just say this, and we definitely appreciate you guys definitely giving us your votes. Once I start, because I don't know who the last comment I pulled up, so I can only go by what I see on StreamYard. So once I say I'm tallying it up, and we had that happen, I think it was a couple episodes ago, and I know you guys definitely have your favorites, and it's also a way for you to support the channel. That's why we always say, if you want to help out, do it early, because I literally have to count all of this with 4 screens open and trying to keep tabs on the live chat. But I didn't see that in my StreamYard. I'm looking at it right now and on my phone. But I'm sorry, Barb. I'm really sorry. That's a bummer. Oh man, she sees it, but it's not there. Holy moly. Wow. Yeah. Eric, do you see it on your phone too?
I looked in the chat. I'll look on my phone real quick. I'll go from. I am not seeing it. I see her. I see where she says I had to even out the vote since I saw people voting for Freddie. But if I'm just saying, if I personally read that, I wouldn't have known that she sent money. You know, she would have sent a Vimeo or a super chat just by reading
okay.
that.
That's the one that you mean, Barb.
If that's the one she means, that's the only one where I can. But after that, she does say, "Did you see the post about 10 additional votes?" I do not see anything in the chat here or on my phone about 10 additional votes at all.
Okay, so if she's talking about the I had to even out, yeah, this one right here, I had to even out the votes since I saw people voting for Freddie. I did start counting before I saw that comment. So just because again, here, let me explain this to you guys too. And we went through this a couple episodes ago. Once I get to that point and I say I'm starting to count the votes, and granted, you guys might have a lag in the live chat, and that definitely can happen. But at the end of the day, we want to make it fair too, because once I start counting, if we have other people sending in, at the last second, like if they're trying to figure out who's who, I mean, we could go on and on and on. So I don't know if that's the one that you meant, Barb. And I do see that particular comment, but I started counting before I started, I started counting before I saw that in the chat. I don't know who the last comment was before you wrote that. But once I start the tally, then we're done. You can still obviously throw in super chats if you'd like to support, the channel and the series, but it just makes it easier for me because I'll tell you what, guys, I got so much going on. Plus, I've got pen and a paper here too, so it just makes it easier so that overall, this can run a lot smoother. So I'm sorry about that, Barb. I'm really sorry. Real quick, Eric, final thoughts on this?
Oh, this was a lot of fun. It's
and down to the wire.
That's what I really like. I said it earlier, and I kind of joke, when I said the Scream Army, because the Scream fans they're ride or die, like people always say. But I was kind of enjoying the fact, and not for my own personal preference, I was kind of enjoying the fact that it kind of started going 50-50, and I really had no clue who the winner would have been by the end of this. So that's what makes it more fun to me when it's not so one-sided.
Right. I totally agree. It was right down to the wire. Coriander, what about your thoughts on this?
I mean, it was fun.
I hope so.
Like I always say, I'm, with these ones that are like, I don't know. I had a couple categories that were like toss-ups. So
yes,
I'm kind of glad that, that it's over.
yes.
But in a good way.
And Barb saying, no worries. Truly consider it a $10 donation to the entertainment for tonight. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And thank you for the understanding on that. Because again, when we do this particular series, the tricky part for me, as far as hosting it and working the slides and working the live chat and so forth, but I'm also keeping track of the points and so forth. So once we get to the tally point, that's why I have these guys do a recap. Truly, I mean, I do want to hear what they have to say, and I'm sure you guys do too, but truly it's just to give me a couple minutes to count up all the points, so just to be totally transparent. So with that being said, Eric, you know what that means.
Yes,
you know what that means for Freddie. You know what's going to happen.
We got a number one contender now.
We got a contender. Coriander, you know who he's got the face, right?
Yeah, Michael.
The champ. Say it with pride. Say his name. Put respect on it.
Michael Myers.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
So guys,
the only thing is, it's like, what movies? That's going to be tough.
Well, bro, obviously we're gonna figure that out. He's like, she's having this conversation now. What's going
Because
on?
I don't want a silly Freddy
we-
at all. Just
We'll,
saying.
we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out. But these guys in the chat, Brandon going, "Oh yeah, all right, we love it." And look at Val's just like, "Michael's back, thank God." There you go. There you go.
She
You're
just
all
did a
right, Val.
backflip.
Okay. So, guys, we're going to head out of here. Thank you so much, not only for being here and making this a fun episode, and seriously, guys, just really solidifying that you guys are having fun with this series, which means a lot to us. It means a lot to me specifically, too. A lot of stuff going on channel-wise and YouTube-wise lately. So thank you guys for being here and making this a really fun episode. This was a blast. I wish Kill was here. He's going to love seeing this replay. But we will be back next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. So make sure that you guys get ready to hang out with us, because who knows what's going to happen next week, man. I can't wait. So anyways, we will catch you guys next time. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Cheers.
Ouch.